Guys, so I wanted to give you some final announcements now that we're getting close to rolling out this remote learning process. So you received a schedule. I know it was sent over voicemail and it said Monday from this time to this time is first period, Tuesday from this time to this time is second period, and so on. What it didn't say is that that is time set aside for live lessons or for collaborative group work. So I want to clarify that that schedule was sent out to say if a teacher wants to host a live lesson where you log in and they're teaching over video chat live right then and there, that's what that time is for. That way you don't have multiple teachers expecting you to be at a lesson at the same time. So that's what that schedule is for. It does not mean so again, it does not mean that you only work on your first period on Monday, that you only do second period work on Tuesday. That is not what that was intended for. So for Honors Chem, you're going to have a little bit of work to do each day. Now, I made an honest effort to really make sure that it's not a ton. I broke it down into smaller chunks. So it should not exceed over 45 minutes. So that should be about the max. Now, granted, if you write slow or you need to rewatch stuff, it might take longer than that. But that was my goal time, and I really went through each thing and did it myself to try to make sure that it did not exceed that time frame. So I'm trying to be realistic of your time and your schedule throughout the day. Now, also with those smaller chunks, let's say you just have a crazy day on Tuesday, you have a lot going on at home and you can't get all of your chemistry work done. Well, then hopefully on Wednesday, if you have time, you can do Tuesday and Wednesday to get caught up, because it's not like I'm expecting you to do 3 hours worth of work a day. So that's kind of what that is for. So I built in some flexibility. So we're going to start with Unit 3. So if you go to the class website, you hit or hover over the Units tab and you click on Unit 3. And so you'll notice at the top we have this checklist. Now Unit 3 is 2 weeks, so this is a lot. If you look at this tab right here, it says schedule. If you click on that, that gives you a printable version. So if you want to print it off and physically check off each thing and have the whole schedule for each day readily available, then you can print that off. If you do not have a printer, do not worry. That is fine. You can either just handwrite it, or again, it's always going to be here on the website digitally. There's also a copy of the blank notes if you need it. So if you, again, have a printer and you want to copy the blank notes, that's going to have the worksheets and things like that, you can do that. If not, you can always just write down the answers or the questions and the answers on a sheet of notebook paper. So each day is written as a checklist, so it tells you the dates that you should do each thing. You should try to stay on schedule as much as possible, but again, there is some flexibility. Definitely always do it in order. So let's say, again, Tuesday, day 2 is busy, you can't do chemistry, so it's Wednesday. You still got to go back and check off Tuesday before you can move on to Wednesday. So this is meant to do it in order, but you still have some flexibility. So these things that are in bold, like what is the bond box, that tells you the name of the video that you would click. Now, for a lot of the videos next to it, I will post a picture of the notes. So you can write down the notes first and then watch the video and add to your notes if you need to. That's kind of how I would do it. Now, granted, you can watch the video and pause and write things down as you go if that works for you. But there is a picture there of the notes so that you can write them down and then truly listen to the video and add little notes in if you need to. So those bold titles, that's the button that you click. The next thing is in the teal or seafoam green, whatever color you want to call it, box at the bottom. That's the time for office hours. So there is going to be at least 1 hour of office hours each day. You'll notice sometimes there's more than one session. If you go down to the next week, one of the days I'll have 3 sessions. So as the content gets a little bit harder, I'll hold more sessions, but that is for office hours. Office hours, again, is not a live lesson. It's just if you have questions or concerns, you can log in and ask questions. Again, it's going to work best if you log in at the beginning, but if you're a little bit late, that's fine. I'll be sitting there ready to answer any questions. If you have questions along the way, you can always email me, but the benefit of office hours is you can see my screen, so I can print out the worksheets and actually work it out step by step, and you can watch me. So if it's something like that, you should probably log into the office hours. But if it's just a question that you think I can answer over email, always feel free to send me an email and I will answer those questions as I get them. So you go through, you do each part, and you'll notice there are some Kahoots and things along the way. So there's a Kahoot right here. Kahoots will be open until Sunday at noon. So even if it's assigned on Tuesday, you should do it on Tuesday. But again, with flexibility, it will not shut down until Sunday at noon. So that gives you some flexibility if you really need it. Again, it's always best practice to do it on the day it's assigned. I have it in there as practice to kind of flow with the unit. But that does allow for some flexibility. If you'll notice on day 3, it has a homework worksheet that you need to email the answers to me. So if you scroll down, also you'll notice if as you're scrolling, you'll see this black line. So everything above that is day 1. Then everything above the next one is day 2. So that's another way to help organize what all you're supposed to get done each day. So this is the homework. So you'll notice day 3 is just answering these 3 questions. That's it. You'll first need to watch this video on how to answer them. And then on a separate sheet of paper, you would go through, answer these questions, and then email me your answers. So you can take a picture and email me the picture, however you want to do that. When you email it to me, and this part is extremely important for my organization, again, there's 98 of you. So you need to make the subject your class period. So if you are in my first period, you'd put a 1. And then I'll always have the title that you'll need for that assignment, and then your name. And please put your first and last name. Also, when you do a Kahoot, it would really help me out if you put your first and last name. Because for grading, they are still working through how 4th quarter and final grades are going to be done. They have not made those decisions yet. I know a lot of people are very curious about the grades, as am I. They haven't told us yet, and we'll see when they figure it out. I think it honestly is going to depend on do we come back to school or not. But they have told us to keep track of the assignments that you have been doing and what grades you would have gotten on that assignment. So I do have an Excel spreadsheet and I will be keeping track of that. So again, I'm not sure how grades are going to work out for the 4th quarter or your overall grade. They have not given us an answer yet. They don't know yet. They're still working on that, but I am keeping track of the assignments that you have completed. Now, there is flexibility again, just like the Kahoots. So let's say that bond box was Wednesday's work. Well, if you're busy on Wednesday and you can't get it in, you can still email it to me on Thursday or Friday or Saturday or Sunday. So it will help me because I am going to look it over and grade it and give you feedback. But you do have some flexibility. So don't panic if you turn it in a day late. I'm not going to hold that against you. So just keep that in mind. There is some flexibility with that. So for those assignments, you email them to me. Please be very specific with the subject name. That's how I keep it all organized. Even if you do the worksheet 100% correctly, I will email you back saying, perfect, awesome. That way you just know that I got it. So, and if there's something wrong, I'll give you my answer key or I'll give you some of my notes. So that's how that will work. So you're going to go through, do the assignments. Some of the things you're going to have to email to me. There are Kahoots as well. And for those, you do not need to email me that you did the Kahoot. The Kahoot saves all that information for me and gives me a breakdown so I can see the grade that you got and all of that. For the Kahoots, the grade is not necessarily super important. Now, if you fail it, I'd probably do it again. But I'm just checking to see, did you do it? Now, for some of the Kahoots, I'm going to go to this first one because with naming and the way that you input things, it's a little bit complicated. So you'll notice I typed up this whole thing. You can do it on your phone. For the naming, you have to type a lot in. So I said it's probably easier to use a computer. But you have to use Roman numerals, which have to be capitalized I's. Now, capitalization does not really matter. So like if you wrote 10 with a capital T or a lowercase t, it's not going to count that against you, but the spacing is important. I don't know why. So you have to pay attention to the spaces. So please read this before you do it to make sure that you understand how to format it. But it will always show you the correct answer. So you'll know, oh, like if you just misspelt it or something, understand that you know the content and you'll be fine. So as you'll go through, again, I would write the notes, then watch the video. It has these worksheets. If you do not have a printer, you can just send me the answers. So that's fine. And some people typed it up and emailed me their typed up answers. That's fine. It's probably easier to do it by hand because you have to show some work, but that is all up to you. So the way that this is going to work, you go to the unit. Each day you have this agenda. It's going to tell you what you need to do. If you have questions, the office hours are underneath. And for those worksheets that you email to me, I will give you feedback, and I am keeping track of who has done what assignments. So when they tell us how we're going to do these grades, I will be ready. At any point, if you have any questions or concerns, you can always email me and let me know. There are 98 of you, so give me a little bit of time. But if you're turning things in on the day that they're assigned, I've set time aside in my schedule to grade those and get them back to you. So if you hand it, or I guess you're not handing it to me, if you email it to me a day or two late, then probably expect a little bit of a delay in getting your feedback. It's kind of like when you do a quiz and then do the makeup quiz. The makeup quiz is always going to take me a little longer to grade because I have the answer key for one thing, grade all of those, and kind of have a system. So you'll have a little bit of work to do each day. The office hours, you go to that Google Doc. So I sent you a Google Doc to your school email for the office hours, and it'll have a link. You just click on the link. It'll pop you into the office hours. You can ask questions, and I will try to answer them as best as I can. I will warn you that Unit 3 is a little tough, but I really tried to break it down in each video, and those worksheets try to give you feedback to make sure that you know how to answer these problems. So Monday, we are starting with this remote learning process, and I'm honestly pretty excited about it. I miss teaching chemistry, so I'm excited to give you guys some feedback. And all of my lessons, as you can see, are pre-recorded, and I prefer that over a live lesson for right now, just because that gives you flexibility and it gives you time to go back and watch it again if you have questions, or this unit's 2 weeks long, so if you forgot something, you can always go back and watch that video as a refresher. But I tried to throw some refresher things in there to keep you up with it all along the way. So Monday, get ready to get started. Write down that checklist, get ready to do those things, and if you have any questions, you can always email me.